Beloved, I ask you, have you forgotten the word that formed the worlds? Have you forgotten that the very breath in your lungs is the breath of the Almighty, who giveth thee power to get wealth, that his covenant may be established? For the kingdom is not a far-off land, nor is abundance some distant promise. It is here. It is now, and it answers instantly to the words spoken in faith. The gold you seek is already under your feet. The harvest you dream of is already ripe, but the gates of your supply swing open only to the sound of your own voice speaking truth. The law of God is immutable. Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee, and the light shall shine upon thy ways. I tell you, the Bible holds a verse, a living seed of power, that makes rich instantly, for it carries the vibration of God's overflow promise. Not tomorrow, not after years of toil, but the moment faith takes root and your word aligns with his word, divine substance rushes in like a flood. The widow's oil multiplies, the loaves and fishes are more than enough, the Red Sea parts, not for the doubter, but for the one who dares to speak as if the promise is already fulfilled. So I stand before you now as a herald of that ancient truth, to break the spell of lack, to lift the veil from your eyes, to awaken you to the wealth that is already yours in the invisible. Will you rise and take the promise as your own? Will you speak the word that changes your world forever? Then open the gates of your heart, for heaven is ready to pour out a blessing you will not have room enough to receive. If you are ready to walk into the land of milk and honey, to see the rivers of gold flow in your direction, then stay with me, and let us step together into the law that makes the impossible inevitable. Speak the word, beloved, and watch the mountains move. Subscribe now, and let this truth live in your heart forever. Beloved, hear me. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And that Word, the eternal vibration of truth, was given to you. You are not a beggar in the courts of heaven. You are an heir, a son, a daughter, vested with the authority of the spoken word. When you speak in faith, you do not address a silent sky. You address the living substance from which all visible things are formed. That substance is obedient to the law of your belief, for it was breathed into being by the same voice that called the stars into place. The world you see around you is nothing more than condensed speech. Every building in the city, every invention in the marketplace, every fortune amassed, began as a word spoken, perhaps first in the silence of thought, then aloud with conviction. Thomas Edison spoke to the invisible when there was no light bulb. Walt Disney spoke to the invisible when there was no Disneyland. Andrew Carnegie spoke to the invisible when there was no steel empire. They understood, perhaps not in scripture's terms, but in principle, that the word precedes the form. But here is the divine secret. Not every word bears fruit. The universe is not moved by idle chatter, nor by words born of fear and complaint. Every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. Judgment is not some far-off tribunal. It is the instant your words take root in the invisible soil, producing after their kind. If you speak of lack, lack answers you. If you speak of sickness, sickness answers you. But if you speak in the language of heaven, words of praise, gratitude, and absolute assurance, then the storehouses of God open wide. I have seen the word transform the most hopeless circumstances in an instant. A woman came to me once, trembling, her rent overdue, her purse empty, her heart filled with dread. She sobbed. Miss Shinn, I have nothing. I answered, my dear, you have the word, and the word is everything. I instructed her to speak aloud. God is my supply, instant and inexhaustible, and his riches now flow to me freely. She obeyed. That very day, a long-forgotten debt was repaid to her, enough to pay her rent and more. Why? Because the moment she spoke with faith, the channels of supply swung open. The law of the word was fulfilled. You see, the Bible is not merely a record of miracles past, it is a manual for miracles now. Elijah spoke, and the rain ceased for 3 years. Then he spoke again, and the heavens poured forth. Jesus spoke, and the fig tree withered in a day. He said, Whosoever shall say unto this mountain, Be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, he shall have whatsoever he saith, not what he thinks only, but what he says. Why then, do the children of God speak so carelessly? They say, I am broke, I am tired, I am unlucky, I can't afford this. And the law, which cannot be mocked, answers, So be it. You cannot sow weeds with your tongue and expect roses in your garden. The tongue is the rudder of your life, small but mighty. It can steer you into safe harbors of abundance, or into shipwreck upon the rocks of lack. Beloved, you must train your tongue as a soldier trains his sword. Let no word escape that does not bear the stamp of faith. If a thought of failure arises, cut it down with the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. Replace it instantly with truth. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Say it until it is the only sound your inner ear hears. Say it when you rise, say it when you walk by the way, say it before you sleep, for repetition etches the pattern deep into the invisible. There is a great unseen world, teeming with divine substance, waiting to be shaped by your decree. Imagine it as a vast ocean of living gold, responding to your command. When you speak faith, you carve channels through which that gold flows into your affairs. But when you speak fear, you build dams that block the flow. This is why James wrote, "Out of the same mouth proceedeth blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not so to be. You must choose blessing, and blessing alone." Consider the builders of the Tower of Babel. They spoke one language, and in their unity of speech they moved as one. Even in error, their words carried power. What would happen if the children of light united in the language of truth? If you and I and all who hear this spoke the same words of abundance, healing, and harmony, the very structure of the world would change. I say to you, begin today. Guard your words as you would guard a treasure chest, for indeed, they are the currency of heaven. The verse that makes rich instantly is not magic, it is law. It works when you speak it with unwavering conviction, aligning your words with the infinite nature of God. Prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven, and pour you out a blessing. These are not empty promises, they are signed, sealed, and waiting for your signature of faith. When I walk through the streets and hear men and women declaring their misfortune, I ache, for they are writing bad checks on the bank of heaven, and the law will honor them just the same. But you, beloved, are learning to write only good checks. You will speak wealth, and wealth will answer. You will speak health, and health will answer. You will speak open doors, and open doors will answer. Do not wait for the outer to change before you speak differently. Speak differently, and the outer will change. A farmer does not wait to see corn before planting corn. He plants in faith, and the harvest is inevitable. So it is with your words. You are sowing now into the field of the future. Every phrase is a seed. Plant carefully. And if you say, "But Miss Shinn, I have spoken and nothing happened," I say to you, the seed is in the ground. Do not dig it up with doubt. Water it with praise. Protect it from the weeds of contradiction. And in due season, often sooner than you expect, the harvest will burst forth. For God's overflow promise is not a slow trickle. It is a rushing river. It is the oil that keeps flowing as long as there is a vessel to receive it. You are that vessel. Stretch forth your capacity by speaking greater words, daring words, words that call things that be not as though they were. Now speak with me. The Lord is my infinite supply. Money flows to me freely, unexpectedly, and abundantly. All that is mine by divine right is now released and comes to me under grace in perfect ways. Say it aloud. Feel the vibration in your chest. You have just issued a royal decree, and heaven has heard. Beloved, if you have ears to hear, hear this. Your world will change the moment your words change. This is the law, and the law cannot fail. So I leave you with the charge. Watch your words, guard your decrees, and speak only that which you desire to see made flesh. The invisible is listening. The substance is waiting. The promise is sure. Speak the word, and the word will speak back to you in gold, in health, in harmony, in joy. Beloved, the word without faith is a bird without wings. It cannot rise. It cannot carry your desire to the throne of supply. For it is written, without faith it is impossible to please God. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Faith is not a flicker of hope, nor a polite wish. It is the blazing certainty that what you have spoken in the name of truth already exists in the invisible and must appear in the visible. Faith does not say, perhaps. Faith says, it is done. A woman once came to me with a face full of fear. Her business was failing. Her creditors were at the door. She had prayed, but in her heart she saw only ruin. I said to her, my dear, you have been planting good seed and then pulling it up to see if it has sprouted. You cannot watch the soil in fear and call that faith. I told her to see her business as already flourishing, to picture the ledgers filled with profit, to speak as if the season of harvest was already upon her. Within 3 weeks, a large contract came, unexpected, yet perfectly timed, and the tide turned. She said, Miss Shinn, I never knew faith could be so practical. Practical, it is the most practical thing in the world, for it works with the only substance that truly exists, the invisible pattern from which all things spring. Thomas Troward said, principle is not bound by precedent. Your past has no authority over your faith. It matters not how many failures lie behind you. Faith takes its orders from the eternal now. When you speak the word, you must see in the mind's eye the thing accomplished. You must walk in the joy of the answered prayer before the answer comes. Jesus said, "When ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them." He did not say, "Believe after you see." The world says, "Seeing is believing." Heaven says, "Believing is seeing." Andrew Carnegie once told of his early days when he had nothing but his vision and his faith. He did not wait to see a fortune before acting as a man of fortune. He dressed well, he spoke boldly, he carried himself as one who knew his destiny was certain. The world, sensing his convicting, moved to make it so. This is the magnetic power of faith. It bends circumstances to match the pattern you hold. You cannot mix faith with fear. Oil and water will not blend. A single doubt, nurtured and rehearsed, can choke the life out of your decree. This is why I tell my students, starve your doubts, feed your faith. Starve them by refusing to speak them. Refuse to rehearse the enemy's lines. Feed your faith by surrounding yourself with words of life, by dwelling in the promises of God until they become your only reality. Do not wait for faith to feel right. Faith is not a mood. It is a choice, a discipline, a stance. The soldier does not wait to feel brave before marching into battle. He marches because the order has been given. So too must you march into your day as one who has already received. Some say, "But Miss Shinn, how can I believe for wealth when my pockets are empty? How can I believe for health when the doctor's report is grim?" I say, that is the very time to believe, for faith that sees is not faith at all. Faith is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. You do not need a bridge when you already stand in the promised land. You need it when you are in the desert, and the desert blooms the moment you dare to call it a garden. I recall a man who had lost his position and could find no work. He said, "I have sent out 50 applications and heard nothing." I told him to cease sending out his need and begin sending out his faith. Each letter he wrote thereafter began with, "I am confident this position is mine by divine right." Within a week he was hired. Why? Because his vibration had changed. Faith had replaced fear. The law moved in his favor. Faith is contagious. Those who live by it radiate a certainty that others cannot resist. Walt Disney was told by bankers that his dream of an amusement park was absurd. He saw it already complete. The rides, the music, the crowds. He spoke of it as if it were opening next week. His faith drew the funds, the workers, the land itself. Today, millions walk in the dream he once carried alone. The Apostle Paul said, "I know whom I have believed." This is the root of unshakable faith, knowing the character of the one who promised. God is not a man that he should lie. When he says, "I will open the windows of heaven," he does not mean, if the economy allows, or, if your background is favorable. His supply is as limitless as his love. You may say, "I have tried faith, and it did not work." My dear, it is not faith you tried. It is perhaps hope, mixed with fear, tied to a clock. True faith leaves the timing in God's hands. True faith does not check the hourglass. True faith rejoices now. If you planted an apple tree, you would not shout at it every morning to bear fruit. You would water it, tend it, and wait in confidence. Faith has a fragrance. It is the fragrance of peace. When you truly believe, you cease to strive. You rest, knowing the work is already accomplished in the invisible. That rest is not idleness. It is alignment. And in that alignment, things begin to move swiftly. One of my students once said, "It feels like magic." I told her, "It is not magic. It is law. Magic depends on tricks. Law depends on principle. The law of gravity works whether you understand it or not. So does the law of faith. The difference is, once you understand it, you can work it deliberately. Beloved, train yourself in faith as you would train a muscle. Lift small weights first. Believe for the parking space, the letter, the small amount of money. As you see these manifest, your faith grows, and you can believe for greater things. The principle is the same, whether you are believing for a loaf of bread or a palace. The universe does not struggle more to produce one than the other. It is only your belief that limits the flow. Say with me now, I walk by faith and not by sight. I believe before I see, and I rejoice before I receive. The windows of heaven are open, and my blessings pour forth now. Say it until it feels as real as the ground beneath your feet. Say it until the unseen becomes more vivid than the seen. For the day will come, sooner than you think, when what you have believed will be standing before you in full form. And on that day, you will know that faith was not waiting for the answer. Faith was the answer. So keep your face set like flint toward the promise. Speak your faith, live your faith, Breathe your faith, for it is the bridge to God's overflow promise, and once you cross it, you will never again dwell in the land of lack. Beloved, faith without vision is like a ship without a compass. It may set sail with courage, but it will drift aimlessly until it runs aground. Vision is the eye of the soul. It is the picture you hold in the secret chambers of your mind. Without it, faith has no target, no image to clothe with substance. Where there is no vision, the people perish. Vision is the mold into which divine substance pours itself. If the mold is vague, the form will be uncertain. If the mold is cracked with fear or limitation, the substance will spill and be lost. But when the mold is clear, whole, and held steady, the thing you desire is compelled to appear in perfect form. God himself worked by vision. In Genesis, we see that before he spoke light into being, he beheld it in the mind of spirit. Every act of creation began as an inner picture, and you, made in his image and likeness, create in the same way. First comes the vision, then the word, then the form. Consider the builders of great cathedrals. They began with drawings, not stone. The architect saw the spires rise in his mind before a single brick was laid. He walked through the nave in imagination, heard the echo of the choir, smelled the incense. The outer was but the unfolding of the inner. I have met those who say, I cannot imagine a better life. I have lived so long in limitation that I see nothing beyond it. I say to them, begin where you are. Use what Orison Swett Marden called constructive imagination. If you cannot see the whole picture, see a fragment, the envelope in your hand with the check inside, the key to the new home turning in the lock, the doctor saying, you are perfectly well. Hold that fragment and let it grow. One of my students was a writer who had never been published. She was plagued by visions of rejection slips. I told her to burn that inner picture and replace it with one of her book displayed in the shop window. I said, see your name in gold on the cover. Feel the pages in your hands. She practiced this daily. Within months, her manuscript was accepted by a major publisher. The form simply followed the picture. Walt Disney said, if you can dream it, you can do it. He walked through Disneyland in his mind long before it was built. He knew the smell of the popcorn, the sound of the train, the feel of the laughter in the air. Those around him saw only an empty stretch of orange groves. But he held to his vision, and the orange groves bloomed into a kingdom of joy. You must understand, beloved, that your vision is not a daydream. It is a prophecy. The pictures you hold, charged with faith, are messages to the divine substance, instructions to the unseen forces that shape your world. The mind is a projector, and the world is your screen. Change the reel, and the picture changes. Carl Jung wrote of the active imagination, the power to enter a mental scene so completely that it becomes a living reality in the unconscious mind. And the unconscious mind, once impressed, will work night and day to bring the picture into form. This is not wishful thinking. It is the very process by which every bridge, every symphony, every invention has been born. I recall a man who longed for a home by the sea but had not a penny to spare. Each night, he sat in a chair, closed his eyes, and felt the salty breeze, heard the crash of the waves, smelled the tang of the ocean air. He walked through the rooms of his unseen home, placed flowers in the vase upon the table, and watched the curtains flutter in the wind. 2 years later, through a series of events he could never have planned, he inherited a seaside cottage from a relative he had scarcely known. Vision had gone before him to prepare the place. Do not be concerned with how the vision will come. The how belongs to God. Your work is to hold the picture steady and let the law of right action bring it to pass. The moment you begin to meddle with the means, you cloud the vision and weaken the magnetic pull. And be certain your vision is worthy. The law will give you what you picture, whether it be blessing or curse. If you dwell on misfortune, you are sketching disaster with a sure hand. If you dwell on sickness, you are painting disease in vivid color. But if you dwell on health, wealth, love, and joy, you are calling forth the kingdom. Vision must be nourished. Feed it with images, words, and experiences that match its nature. If you are believing for a business, walk through offices and stores as if they were yours. If you are believing for health, look upon those who radiate vitality. If you are believing for travel, fill your eyes with the beauty of the world through pictures and stories. You are watering the seed of your vision. Vision and gratitude walk hand in hand. Give thanks for the thing you have seen in the invisible, as if it were already yours. Gratitude is the rich soil in which the seed grows fastest. A thankful heart is the signal to the universe that the vision is real. You may be surrounded now by circumstances that mock your vision. Noah was surrounded by dry land when he built the ark. Yet he built according to the pattern he had been shown, and when the rains came, his preparation was his salvation. So too will your vision shelter you when the storm passes, and it will carry you into the land of promise. Beloved, do not be casual with your vision, guard it as you would guard a newborn child. Do not expose it to the cold winds of doubt or the sneers of the faithless. Let it grow strong in the warmth of your own conviction until it can stand in the light of day without fear. Now close your eyes and see the life you desire as if it were now. See it in detail. See yourself walking in it, touching it, rejoicing in it. Say aloud, my vision is clear, my faith is sure, my good comes to me now under grace in perfect ways. Hold that picture, for it is the blueprint of your destiny. For the day is coming when the vision you now hold will stand before you in full form, and you will know that it came not by toil alone, but by the law of vision. The law that says, as far as thine eyes can see, so will I give unto thee. Beloved, vision without action is like a seed left on a shelf, full of life, yet never sown. Faith and vision prepare the soil, but action is the planting of the seed. Right action is not frantic effort, nor anxious striving. It is the inspired movement that flows from divine direction. When a farmer sees the clouds gather and feels the first drops of rain, he does not stand idle. He runs to the field and sows, for he knows the season is ripe. So too must you act when the Spirit nudges you, when the inward voice says, go here, call there, write this, begin now. Delay can close a door that faith has opened. Right action is action born of guidance, not of fear. Many move in haste, driven by panic, only to find themselves further from their good. Others sit paralyzed, waiting for perfect conditions, and the tide of opportunity slips away. The law works when your steps are in rhythm with divine timing. Not too soon, not too late, but in the fullness of the appointed hour. I recall a man who had a vision for a great business. He prayed, affirmed, and saw it in detail, but he refused every opportunity to begin on a small scale. He said, I will wait until I have enough capital for the whole plan. I told him, begin with what you have, and the rest will be added. He did not listen. Years passed, and another man, with less money but more obedience, acted on the idea, and the fortune was his. The first man had the seed, but he never planted it. Right action often looks small at the start. Moses was told to stretch forth his rod over the sea. A simple gesture, but it opened the way for a nation. David picked up a stone, and a giant fell. Jesus told the servants to fill the water pots, and the water became wine. The action is your signal to heaven that you are ready to receive. And hear me. Action cleanses fear. Many sit in the shadow of doubt until they begin to move, and then courage comes. Napoleon Hill wrote, do not wait, the time will never be just right. The moment you take the step you can take, the next step appears. Right action is also the refusal to act against your good. Do not compromise your vision by moving in directions that contradict it. If you are believing for abundance, refuse to engage in dishonest dealings. If you are believing for love, refuse to entertain relationships that dishonor your spirit. Every action either aligns with your vision or pulls it down. Non-resistance is part of right action. Sometimes, the best step is to release a matter and let God work it out. A woman once came to me, weary from pursuing a man who clearly did not value her. I told her, cease chasing shadows, release him and prepare for the one who is yours by divine right. She obeyed, though it felt like loss. Within months, she met a man whose love was steadfast and her joy was complete. Her release was her right action. Do not confuse busyness with fruitfulness. Many run from task to task, exhausting themselves, yet bearing little result. Right action may be a single call, a single meeting, a single word spoken at the right time that moves mountains. One divine appointment is worth more than a year of aimless labor. Trust that when you are aligned in faith and vision, you will be led in ways that make no sense to reason, but perfect sense to spirit. Dr. Frank Crane said, the man who waits for opportunity without acting is like the man who waits for the river to pass before crossing. The river will never pass. You must step in when the voice says, now. And beware of the voice of doubt that says, what if I fail? Failure is not the enemy, inaction is. Even a misstep can be turned to good when you are listening and willing to be corrected. The potter does not discard the clay because the first shape is imperfect. He reshapes it until it matches the design. Right action is always accompanied by peace. You may feel stretched, even challenged, but beneath it is a current of certainty that says, "This is the way, walk ye in it." Follow that current, and it will carry you swiftly to your good. Beloved, do not sit in the waiting room of life when your name has been called. Do not hold back your gift until the world begs for it. The door of right action stands open now. Walk through it. The moment your feet touch the path, provision meets you. The moment you move in faith, the unseen helpers spring into motion. Say aloud now, "I am led in right action. I do the right thing at the right time, and I am always in the right place. My steps are ordered by the Lord, and I cannot miss my way." For the law is sure. When you move in harmony with divine guidance, each step is blessed, each path is cleared, and the fulfillment of your vision becomes inevitable. And when the harvest comes, you will look back and see that every right action, no matter how small, was a golden thread in the tapestry of your abundance. If this truth has quickened your spirit, let it quicken your steps. Move with the wind of heaven at your back, and subscribe now, that your heart and your path may be fed continually by the word of truth. Beloved, there is a time for every purpose under heaven, and your good has its appointed hour. Divine timing is the watchmaker of the universe, setting each event in perfect order, that nothing may be premature and nothing delayed. Impatience is the enemy of miracles. Many abort their blessings by digging up the seed before it has ripened. They say, "It has been too long," and they rush to force an answer, only to find themselves with a counterfeit blessing, a poor imitation of what God had prepared. The Israelites, weary of waiting for Moses, made a golden calf, and lost the glory that would have been theirs. The law of divine timing is not delay, it is preparation. It is the weaving together of countless threads, people, places, resources, so that when the curtain rises, every player is in place, every door is open, and your good comes without sorrow. He hath made everything beautiful in his time. I recall a woman who came to me in tears. She had been waiting for a certain business contract that seemed to stall again and again. I told her, "Do not push against the closed door. When the hour strikes, no force on earth can hold it shut. Until then, be still." 2 months later, the contract was signed. But had it been signed earlier, she would have been bound to terms that would have ruined her. The delay was her protection. Divine timing is like the tide. You cannot call it in before the moon commands, nor can you hold it back when its hour has come. You must learn to move with its rhythm, trusting that unseen forces are working for you. Thomas Edison once said that many fail because they do not know how close they are to success when they give up. Your good may be one sunrise away. Hold your ground, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. You must also know that when the time comes, the movement will be swift. Joseph spent years in prison, and in a single day he was brought before Pharaoh, given the ring, the robe, the chariot. The vision tarries, but when it comes, it will not tarry. The seasons of waiting are often long, the seasons of fulfillment are swift. Waiting in divine timing is not idleness, it is active readiness. It is oiling your lamp so that when the bridegroom comes, you are not found in darkness. It is preparing the nets before the fish fill the sea. It is building the storehouse before the rain falls. Andrew Carnegie once told how he waited years for certain market conditions before making his greatest move. When the moment came, he acted in hours, and the fortune was his. Those who mocked his waiting did not see the wisdom in it until it was too late. In waiting, you must guard your speech. Do not declare delay as denial. Say instead, "My good is on its way in perfect timing. I am ready to receive." This affirms your alignment with the law, keeping the channel clear. Sometimes the timing is delayed because you are not yet ready to hold what you have asked for. A gift given too soon can destroy the receiver. A tree must grow deep roots before bearing heavy fruit. God loves you too much to let your blessing crush you. And there are times when the delay is for the sake of others. Your path intersects with many. The answer you seek may require another's obedience, another's readiness. Be patient, for when all is aligned, the blessing will arrive like a chariot of fire. Beloved, divine timing is not against you, it is for you. It ensures that your good comes at the hue, or when you can most enjoy it, use it, and keep it, and when the hour comes, you will say, "The Lord hath done all things well." Now speak aloud, "I rest in divine timing. I am always in the right place at the right time. My blessings arrive in perfect order, and I receive them with joy." Rest in that, For as surely as the sun rises and sets, your appointed hour is on the way, and when it strikes, you will see that every moment of waiting was a step toward the perfect unfolding of your good. Beloved, resistance is the great thief of peace. It is the clenched fist that cannot receive. It is the tight rope drawn across the stream of blessing, stopping its flow. The law of non-resistance is the law of the open hand, the open heart, the open door. Jesus said, "Resist not evil." He did not mean that you should welcome wrong, nor that you should submit to injustice. He meant that you must not meet opposition with force of the same kind, for what you fight, you invite. What you resist, you magnetize. To push against a thing is to give it your energy, your focus, your life. Think of a swimmer in a strong current. If he thrashes in panic, the water overpowers him. But if he turns and moves with the current, he is carried swiftly to safety. Life's currents will sometimes seem to carry you where you did not plan to go. If you resist, you grow weary. If you yield in trust, the current becomes your ally. Thomas Troward wrote, "Principle is not limited by precedent. Non-resistance accepts that appearances, no matter how threatening, are but shadows, subject to change under the light of truth. The shadow cannot strike you if you walk on in faith, refusing to wrestle with it." I once counseled a man who had lost a position he had held for many years. He was consumed with anger toward the employer who had dismissed him. I said, "Release him, bless him, let him go free, that you too, may be free." He thought me foolish, but he obeyed. Within weeks, he was offered a new position with twice the salary. His release had cleared the channel for his good. Non-resistance is not passivity. It is mastery. It is the refusal to spend your life in combat with illusions. It is the choice to rise above the battlefield and let God fight for you. The Red Sea did not part because the Israelites fought the waters. It parted because they moved forward at God's command. Consider the martial arts master who uses the opponent's force to bring him down. This is the wisdom of non-resistance. You do not meet force with greater force. You let it pass, and in passing, it loses its power. Resistance breeds more of the same. The one who says, "I hate debt, I hate sickness, I hate poverty," is binding himself to those very conditions, for the mind is dwelling on them with passion. But the one who says, "I see abundance, I see health, I see freedom," is setting his mind on the solution, and the law moves to match that picture. Ella Wheeler Wilcox wrote, "The world needs less of your grief and more of your gladness." Non-resistance is gladness in the face of trouble, for it knows that trouble is but a temporary actor on the stage, soon to be replaced by the hero of the piece. There is a great strength in letting go. The tree that will not bend in the storm is the one that breaks. The soul that will not yield to the higher wisdom is the one that shatters under strain, but the soul that bows to God's will, saying, "Not my will, but thine be done," finds that the storm passes quickly and the sun returns. I knew a woman who longed for marriage, but she clung in desperation to a man who was clearly wrong for her. I told her, "Release him in love. If he is yours by divine right, he will return cleansed and ready. If he is not, something better will take his place." She wept, but she obeyed. Not long after, she met the man who became her devoted husband for life. Her letting go was her liberation. Non-resistance is also the key to answered prayer. When you release your tight grasp on how the answer must come, you give the law room to work. You may have fixed your eyes on one channel, but God may wish to bless you through 10 others. The brook may dry up, as it did for Elijah, but the ravens will find you in another place. Beloved, to practice non-resistance, begin with your words. Cease speaking of what you oppose. Speak only of what you accept, what you bless, what you welcome. If trouble comes, say, "This too shall pass. God's good is flowing to me now." If someone wrongs you, bless them silently and release them to the law. If a door closes, thank God for the better door that will open. Now speak aloud. I resist nothing. I fear nothing. I am open to all the good God has for me. Every appearance of trouble is dissolved, and all things work together for my good. For the truth is sure, nothing and no one can stand against the one who yields to divine order. In the yielding, you are carried. In the letting go, you are lifted. And in the surrender, you are crowned with victory. Beloved, all the laws we have walked through, the law of the word, the law of faith, the law of vision, the law of right action, the law of divine timing, the law of non-resistance, all lead here to the law of manifestation. This is the hour when the invisible becomes visible, when the dream steps into the daylight, when the seed bursts into the harvest. Manifestation is not a surprise to the one who has walked the path. It is the natural outcome of spiritual law. Just as surely as the planted seed breaks the earth in its appointed season, your spoken word, clothed with faith and vision, acted upon in right timing and released without resistance, must appear in form. Many call manifestation a miracle, and indeed, to the natural mind, it seems miraculous. But to the spiritual mind, it is simply the fulfillment of the process. The farmer does not marvel as if magic has happened when the field turns green. He smiles, for he knew it would come. Call those things which be not as though they were, wrote the Apostle Paul. That is manifestation's birthplace, in the unseen, where faith declares it done long before the eye sees it. But when the moment comes, the outer must bow to the inner decree. I recall a man who had believed for years for a music studio of his own. He had spoken the word daily, seen it in his mind, acted in every small way to prepare for it. Then, one morning, a friend called unexpectedly and said, "I am moving overseas. Would you like my studio?" It was given to him, complete with instruments, soundproofing, and equipment, all debt-free. He said to me, "Miss Shinn, it came out of the blue." I told him, "My dear, it did not come out of the blue, it came out of the invisible, and it was always yours." Manifestation often comes clothed in the ordinary. The phone call, the letter, the chance meeting. These are but the outer garments of divine provision. Those who are awake recognize the hand of God in every detail. Those who sleep call it coincidence, but there is no such thing in the kingdom. There is only order. Sometimes, manifestation is sudden, like Joseph's release from prison. Other times, it unfolds in stages, like the healing of the 10 lepers, as they went. Do not despise the partial manifestation. It is the dawn announcing the day. Rejoice in every sign, for praise hastens the completion. It is important to recognize your manifestation when it comes, for it may look different from the picture you held. God may give you the essence of your desire in a form far greater than you imagined. A woman once affirmed for a home in the city. Instead, she was led to a country estate, larger, lovelier, and entirely suited to her needs. Had she clung to the exact image in her mind, she might have missed the greater gift. Manifestation is also maintained by the same laws that brought it forth. Many lose their blessings because they cease to watch their words, to nourish their faith, to guard their vision. The tree that has borne fruit still needs water, sunlight, and care. Know, too, that manifestation is not limited. The ocean of supply is infinite. When one desire is fulfilled, do not settle into stagnation. Lift your eyes to the next horizon. The law is ever ready to bring forth new beauty, new abundance, new joy. In manifestation, gratitude is the crown. Give thanks not only when the thing appears, but now, before it has form. Gratitude in advance is the signal to the universe that the matter is settled. It is the shout of victory before the battle is over. And remember, manifestation is not only for you. Your overflow is meant to bless others. The loaves and fishes multiplied not for one man's meal, but for the multitude. As your good appears, share it, sow it, circulate it, and it will return to you multiplied again. Beloved, the law is faithful. It has never failed one who has followed its steps. If you have spoken the word, believed it in faith, held the vision, acted in obedience, trusted divine timing, and released all resistance, then the manifestation must come. It is not a matter of if, but when. Say aloud now. My good appears now. I see it, I accept it, I rejoice in it. All that I have spoken in faith is now made visible under grace in perfect ways. Feel those words as truth, not as hope. For the moment you accept them fully, the invisible begins to crystallize into form, and when it stands before you, you will know that it was never far away. It was always within, waiting for your permission to appear. So walk in the joy of the answered prayer, even before your eyes see it. For joy is the climate of manifestation. It draws your good as surely as the sun draws the flower from the bud. And when your manifestation comes, and it will, let it be a testimony. Tell others of the faithfulness of the law. Show them that the promises of God are not ancient relics, but living realities. Be the proof that heaven keeps its word. Beloved, the law is complete. The circle is unbroken. The word spoken in faith returns with the harvest in its arms. If this truth has crowned your spirit with hope, let it crown your life with substance. Speak it, live it, see it, receive it, and subscribe now, that the stream of divine revelation may flow into your life without ceasing, and your manifestations may multiply without end.